There comes a moment, often during the stillness of the night, long after the children have grown and the house sits in silence. You start to understand that most of your life is behind you. And that's not a tragedy, it's something sacred. Yet, with that understanding comes a sharp, almost painful awareness. You begin to see clearly how much of your life you gave away, how many pieces of your soul you offered up, wishing someone would cherish them, and how often they didn't. In old age, it's not just the body that weakens, the spirit does too. You carry things in your heart now, memories and truths, scars and longings, that weren't meant to be shared lightly. When you confide these to the wrong person, you don't just lose trust. You lose a part of yourself, protected not out of bitterness but out of wisdom. It's a hard-earned realization that not everyone deserves access to your soul. I've talked to hundreds of people, both men and women, well into their later years. And again, I hear the same regret, I wish I hadn't shared that. The truth is, what you reveal in your later years can either uphold your dignity or tear it apart. It can either create a legacy or bring confusion and pain. I knew a man, let's call him Arthur. He was 73, a retired teacher, a gentle spirit with eyes that had witnessed too much. He lived alone in a simple home filled with books and old photographs. Arthur had a tendency to talk quite a lot. Not foolishly, but he was truly insightful. However, he never quite grasped that some pain doesn't need to be shown to be real. He believed that sharing would lighten the load, and sometimes it did. But one day, he confided something deeply personal to a new friend, someone who seemed kind and understanding. Weeks later, that very story, his personal pain, was used against him, twisted, mocked, and whispered about in their small town like gossip among schoolchildren. After that, Arthur stopped visiting the local cafe. He stopped smiling as much, and though he never said it, I could see it in him. A part of him died that day. You must comprehend something significant here. Many people think openness is the same as strength. In some ways, it is. Vulnerability can be a gift when given in the right setting. But as we grow older, it's no longer about showcasing how open you can be. Instead, it's about discerning who truly deserves to see the deeper parts of your being. There are 5 deeply personal areas of your life that should stay sacred as you age. I'm not saying you should hide who you are. I'm suggesting you protect the aspects of yourself that took a lifetime to shape. You don't need validation for your story anymore. You don't need permission to feel what you feel. What you need is peace, and you find it by being a careful guardian of your own truth. The first is your deepest regrets. Regrets, you see, aren't simply admissions of failure. They are emotional traps. When shared carelessly, you let others reshape your story, label you, and simplify your complexity to a single moment of weakness. Let me tell you about people. They easily remember your worst days and forget your best. Arthur once told someone he wished he had stood up to his abusive father, and that became the only thing people saw in him from then on, a man defined by a lack of courage. But they didn't know he had spent a lifetime teaching young boys how to be brave, how to speak up, how to hold themselves. That regret contributed to a legacy, but he shared it, and they never thought of him the same way again. Don't make that mistake. Let your regrets teach you and refine you, but don't hand them out like tokens. Second, never share the full extent of your financial situation. Whether you're wealthy or struggling, money can warp relationships. Once others know what you have, you're no longer a person. You're a resource, especially in later years. I've seen families torn apart by inheritance disputes, friends turned into predators, and trust shattered by jealousy. You might want to help others. Great, be generous, but don't open the books to everyone. You don't owe anyone an explanation of how you've managed, how you've saved, or what you want to leave behind. That knowledge, when in the wrong hands, can become a weapon. Third, your pain. Yes, I know this is debatable, and I'm not suggesting you suffer in silence. Just hear me out. Not everyone who listens genuinely cares, and not everyone who cares should know. Some people gather stories of pain, not to empathize but to control, to manipulate, to feel superior. I once met a woman named Elaine who shared the details of her grief after her son's suicide with a support group. Within months, one member began sharing her story at events without her permission, turning her private sorrow into a public tale. Her pain became a means for someone else's status. That is theft, and you need to shield yourself from it. Fourth, your future plans. In old age, your dreams become fragile. They are no longer grand ambitions. They are intimate wishes, like taking a trip, finishing a book, or reconciling with a child you have been estranged from. When you share these plans with people who lack imagination or compassion, they will mock or dismiss them, draining the meaning out of them. I've seen older adults abandon their final dreams just because someone scoffed at them. "You're too old for that," they'd say, and the dream would perish right then. Don't let anyone steal your last spark. Keep your future close to your heart. It still matters. Finally, never reveal your resentments. Bitterness is a fire, and when you voice it, it grows. I've watched older men poison their remaining years by voicing every grudge and every slight. It consumes them. You might think that speaking your resentment will set you free, but unless you're confiding in someone truly wise, someone who can handle it without judgment or feeding it, it will only deepen the wound. Resentment is a demon that wants to survive. Don't feed it with your words. Instead, transform it into wisdom, boundaries, or silence. That is true strength. You might wonder, what should I share then? Share your love, your curiosity, your humor, your stories, your music, your photographs, your memories. Share the warmth that remains in you, for that is the part of you that gives hope to others. But guard the rest because you've earned the right to keep it. Old age is not a slow slide into insignificance. It is a narrowing of focus, a sharpening, much like a blade refined over years of use. You don't need everyone in the world to understand you. You only need a few good people, and even then, they don't have to know everything. Let them uncover you piece by piece. Let them earn that access. You are not a confession booth. You are a sanctuary, and sanctuaries do not open their doors to every passerby. So if you've reached that stage in life, if your hair is gray or your back aches a bit more than before, understand this. Your power isn't lost. It's quieter now, but quieter doesn't mean weaker. In fact, the quiet strength of a guarded soul is one of the most formidable forces in the world. It whispers, I know who I am. I know what I've been through, and I choose what I share, not because I'm hiding, but because I finally understand the value of my voice. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, if you've ever seen someone misuse something shared in confidence, then you already understand what I mean. So let this be your reminder, your anchor. Silence can also be wisdom. You don't owe anyone the full story, and what you choose to protect in your later years may well save your soul. Now I ask you, what will you guard? What parts of yourself have you been giving away too easily? Think about it. And if this resonates with you, share it. Not because I need the views, but because someone out there, someone with gray hair and pain in their heart, needs to hear it. Needs to be reminded that it's not too late to safeguard what remains. And if you're younger, if old age still feels far off, listen anyway. The habits you forge now will shape who you become. Don't wait until you feel broken to start protecting yourself. Start today and build a life that ends in dignity, not regret. Subscribe if you haven't already. We have work to do.